Welcome back to another exciting episode. This time we're going to talk about something we usually don't converse, we usually don't discuss about. This is about end of life, what happens during death, after death, how family members cope with it. And we have uh, accomplished author Sudipta Mukherjee with us. She's a thinker, she's a writer, she's a fitness enthusiast, an explorer, and a deeply rooted humanitarian. She's a believer of love and a student of life. She also published four books so far, three fiction and one non-fiction. I happened to read one of the books called, or at least a major part of that book was authored by her, called Turning Towards Light. And that intrigued me. So let's get into a conversation with Sudipta Mukherjee. Sudipta, welcome to the podcast. We are happy to have you here.
Thank you, Dr. Rajeev. It's a pleasure to be here with you and talk to you.
Yeah, pleasure is mine. So let me start off with a quote from one of your books, Turning Towards Light, the one that kind of intrigued me. I think this comes at a time when you are caring for your, I think, uncle, Pranab
Yes,
Kaku,
yes,
right?
yes,
Pranab Kaku, he's your uncle.
yes.
Let me read out a line or two from here. That was the beginning of something that neither had a name nor future. I must have felt what nurses feel while taking care of their favorite patients, a joy, not at his pathetic state, but in my ability to help him, to be his companion in that dreadful journey, even for a while. Walk a few steps with him, holding his hands. Now, tell us, what are you talking about here? This I can tell, but I want the listeners to get a perspective of what is that you're experiencing here.
See, I compare, first of all, I would like to say, I encountered people dying at a very small age. So, this part is when I was in college and after that. So, I was slightly bigger, I would say, but I've seen a lot of my family members dying when they were very young. And I was very young and I was clueless. So this incident happened when I was slightly matured in a way that I was perceiving things around me, though not totally understanding. So I used to help him eat soup and all. So that at that time I noticed how people are afraid to die. I used to take care of him, but I was an observer. I'm not the one who is going through the journey. So he was. So I was curious what was going on in his mind. One thing I could feel that he was not prepared to die. He was not wanting to leave the world. Nobody does. You are a doctor. You deal with patients. You must have seen. Nobody wants to leave the world. So that's when it started ticking inside me. Why are we afraid to die? We know, all of us, the day we are born, that one day we are going to leave this beautiful world and make our journey. And it's a known fact. But then what is it which we are afraid of? So in that pursuit, many years later, when I encountered a book called The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. That opened those long forgotten chapters of my life. I started reading it, understanding the process of dying and understanding death from the point of view of a sage. Sogyal Rinpoche. It is written, and it's a Buddhist belief. It's Tibetan Buddhism, but I believe that it may not be too different for all the beliefs. So it is not too far from the Hindu belief of death and after life.
Yeah,
So
let me pause you for a moment here. So I'll give you a perspective of Sudipta has seen a lot of death and dying in her family growing up. She had incredible amount of experience seeing people who are passing. Most of us don't these days because a lot of people, especially in US and Western countries, they don't die at home. They die in hospitals. They die in ICUs or hospice, where this act of passing is kind of covered up, is concealed. So most of the kids these days don't really see their elders passing, whereas our ancestors used to, they died at home. So it was a natural phenomenon, right? So just like birth, death was a natural phenomenon. So that is the context in which we are having this discussion here. So I wanted to explore this with Sudipta a little bit because she has seen quite a bit of that in her family members very close to her. Like you said, as physicians, I have pronounced a lot of patients. When we say pronounce a lot of patients, we mean pronounce them dead.
Stop breathing.
Yeah, stop. So they would call me as a house physician, and they would call me, and the patient died in the middle of the night or during the day. Call me to pronounce the patient. So you actually the person who was living, breathing, talking, laughing, smiling, suddenly loses everything, and there's this corpse in front of you. In some ways, doctors are not trained to deal with that situation because we are only trained to cure or care. And when death occurs, we really don't know what to deal because my role ends there. In one of the chapters you write, one of the pages you write, doctors could make good actors. I learned that day. So
I'm sorry if I've offended you.
No, there's no offending. So because everybody has to, I don't want to say act, but we don't know really how to behave at that moment, because that's something, in medical school, all training is geared
sustaining
towards sustaining
life.
Yeah. And if somebody is at the end of life, we kind of resign at that point and said, my role as a doctor ends here. We, at the time of death, all we can say is we are sorry, try to console the family members, but the role ends there. So, and therefore I'm no more in a situation. But I think that's where sometimes doctors actually might play an important role with the family. I don't know how it works, but maybe you have some insight because you have seen doctors.
I have been fortunate enough to have, I'll go a little backward since you started about visiting patient, like dying patient at home. I would say from my little learnings and experience, home is the best place to die. Your home, your bed, where you have slept nearly all your life, that no place other than this is better. Hospital, I'm sorry again if I contradict your professional life, but hospital and ICU is the worst place to die in, spiritually speaking. So if you read the masters, so they all say the same thing. Hospital is not a good place to die in. Definitely not in ventilator. So when my parents, I lost my mother last year. So we brought her home, and I was at least happy that, she left her last breath sleeping on the bed where she had spent last 35 years of her life. So in that way, and I would say me and my brother, I have a brother. So we are fortunate enough to have a doctor with us, Dr. Pratik Mitro. He's like you, he's a critical care doctor. He, since I was here in the US and I used to panic a lot, and he used to do the guiding thing. He's an extremely, I would say, a wonderful human being. So he used to guide me, say, don't panic, don't do this, don't do that. I'm there. Why are you panicking? So he said, let Auntie be the way she is. I'm there to take care of the rest. So it's like the passing away, as in when my father passed away 2 years back, he was in the hospital and it was COVID time. We were not allowed to, I was definitely not allowed because I traveled, and my brother was allowed for 1 minute. And again, it was with Dr. Mitro. He put the phone. I spoke to my father over phone. That was our last communication. I couldn't hear things, what he said, but yeah, I heard his voice. It was his birthday, and he died the following day. For mother, I saw her passing over a video. My brother was there, so he was like, he didn't know what to do. He was thinking Ma was sleeping. Actually, he's not very medically very well versed. He's a banker, so he panicked and he called me from Kolkata. So it was evening here, 5 o'clock. So I knew. So it is 3:30 in Kolkata. So he said, "Ma is sleeping." I said, "Ma is sleeping and she's not waking up. She's snoring." I said, "Put the video on, let me see." So the moment I saw, I sensed that, she's on the brink. It's a very strange thing to even narrate, because I could see over the video that she was breathing. It's a ventilating sound. It's the sound of last breath coming out of the body, which my brother was thinking maybe it's the snoring sound, but it was not. So I understood and I said, "Don't do anything. Let her be. Just leave her. If possible, you go and sit in the another room. You light a diya, and then you don't touch her, or create disturbance, because once we do that, we fall, we cry. So they say, like, samsara is maya. That's so it is first of all, as it is, it's very difficult for the person to leave everything and go. So once you are willing to go, and I am trying, or your son or your wife, everybody is trying to drag you, pull you, it's very difficult. So I know it becomes very impossible to, even the journey becomes even more, what do I say, strenuous internally. So, but then I couldn't tell Dada that. So even then he was thinking, Ma will wake up. But then within 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I saw the last shudder, the final breath coming out of her body. And it was through her eyes. So there were tears, just last drop of tears that we could see. I could see over the video, and my brother could see in person. And then she just, passed away. So it's very smooth, the journey. I believe it's true for everybody. Some people take a little bit of time. And we were talking about ICU. I personally am against a ventilator, and I told that to Dr. Mitro time and again, that no ventilator for my parents, because that's the worst way one can die. That's again the same thing. Your breath wants to leave your body, and artificially we are trying to pull you back, keep you somehow. So there's no fun in it, and it's a very unspiritual thing for the soul to not be. At least we should respect that. And I have I make it a point, if there is a death in the family, I visit the crematorium, which not many women go. You will see very few ladies there for different reasons. But I go because first of all, I want to share the journey, and I want to be supportive of the people who are around. Second is, it's a very spiritual exercise. It gives you a perspective. It transforms you. It changes you beyond the visceral. Something happens inside, and if you observe it, once you come back, you are no longer that same person who entered it. So it's a spiritual, I would say, small journey, which I see. And I don't enjoy, but yeah, I experience. if you call one.
Very interesting. You say it is a journey, like you come from somewhere, you come into this world, you wake up and start learning the trade of the world, right? Trades of the world. Like you get to know people, you know the world, you recognize, you learn, you make connections, you get into a job, you make money, you have all these ties and bonds and everything. And then towards the end, we know that the traditions of religious traditions all over the world talk about the soul, or some religious traditions, especially the dharmic traditions of India, with the Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, Sikhism, and all those traditions talk about the soul leaving. I don't know about Buddhism, but especially Hinduism, the soul leaving the body, which means that when you are there, let us say you are there with somebody who is at what we call in medical profession end of life. So when you're there with them at the end of their life, do you feel like there is some kind of a connection that goes beyond the mental and the outward connection? It is like some kind of a spiritual connection between two. It's hard to say two spirits, but that's what it feels, right?
Yes, you feel something going, and if it is your close relative, close one, like parents are very close, your spouse, they are very close. So if it's like people who are very close to you, if they leave, you definitely feel something. And in my studies of afterlife, I have read, I mean, there is no scientific evidence against all this, that the spirit too lingers for some time. It's not that the spirit goes immediately, catches a flight and travel to another world. The spirit lingers for 49 days or 40 days. There is a time. So it is there. Like
it is there in the vicinity of that.
Yes, in the vicinity, in his or her things, the energy. Energy. Let us say instead of soul, let us change the thing to energy. The energy is there. And if you see the after death rituals for all the communities, like for Bengalis, for Gujaratis, for Marwadis, for all the different states. So we have a definite after death ritual. For 13 days, we eat certain kind of food. Then there is a Shraddh ceremony. There is a definite, like each and every step we do, there is a reason behind it. Maybe we don't know it, and hence we challenge it, or we say it's silly, it's superstition, but nothing is superstition. So for 40 days or 41 days, it is there. The energy is there. That's the reason, the sons, they do mundan. Okay, so they say that here is protein, so it attracts that energy. So once in olden days, what happened, that men used to go to the crematorium. The women, they did not go. So what was there is like the boys, the sons, they would go. So they attract a lot of negative energy in their hair. There used to be long hair. Men used to have long hair. Lot generations earlier. That is why when after the 13th day, there used to be a mundan. It is absolute science. If you see it from doctor's point of view, you will find there is science. So, and then we eat vegetarian food, we eat rice once a day, or fruits mainly. So we don't sleep on the bed, we sleep on the floor. So in this way, and it is said that if you are say the clothes, the utensils, the things that the departed used to use very regularly, so his or her energy is spread there. So that's why we don't immediately wear when my mother passed away, I didn't start wearing her sarees right away. The ideal thing is to do is scatter them, to give it to many people, so that the energy gets spread out into a wider area, and the soul or the energy that has passed away, it is confused, it cannot come back, it cannot haunt you
is
back.
that why they say no visitors for a certain period of time after the passing, right? So at least from where I come from Andhra Pradesh, the tradition is no after the death of a person up until a certain day, 13th day or so, visitors don't come and to the either the widow or whoever is left. I don't know if it is because of this energy,
Maybe
or
there
is it
should
because
be.
yeah.
First of all, in our culture, in my culture, people come. They are welcome and they bring fruits, rice, and everything. Whatever they bring, we eat. We don't go buy stuff for 13 days. So, but maybe if you see that pregnant women, expecting mothers, they are not supposed to go and visit at that time. There is a restriction because when your body is creating a child, you have a different kind of energy within you. So once you go there and you are superimposing your energy with a different energy, which may not be good which may not be totally beneficial for the child inside you. That is exactly the reason why women were not used to be allowed into crematorium. So even these days, pregnant women, they should not visit a crematorium. So it's again, there are lot many things. So this thing stays for 40 days according to Hindu belief. So yeah, in Buddhism, I don't know how many days, but yeah, they do follow certain.
We'll come to that in a minute. But you seem, from just talking to you, you seem like you are actually analyzing the process of death and dying from a whole different perspective. Most people feel of course, you would feel a sense of loss, and at the same time, you made that that peace with yourself that everybody has to die, and when that moment comes, you have to actually appreciate that journey rather than just bowling up, and rather than crying and weeping and everything. Of course, you lose the person, so that loss is there, that vacuum is created. It is almost like you lose a part of yourself, especially when you lose your family member, and especially like mother especially, because you are your mother's flesh and blood. After all, it is. And the same the other way. So if such a person leaves, you feel like a part of you permanently left you. I don't know whether you call it energy, whether you call it soul, whether you call it emotions. How do you explain, or
I had a tough time. Still, I feel I have not come out of it. I was very attached to my father and mother both. So when they passed away, I know it's their journey, they have gone. The intellectual mind knows it. And since I've studied all this, I made it a point to, remain calm and not howl and not disturb the peace. But it's a loss which I know which will be there with me for a long while, because they won't come back, and that is there. But then I keep dreaming them very frequently, both my parents, and the dreams are very strange. And some of the dreams I see my father, some of the dreams I see my mother. In some I see both, and in some I am aware that they are not there, and I find myself surprised that how come they have come. And but then gradually I have learned to live with this loss. I have made myself understand and accept it. Life is all about accepting. So it's a journey. It's a tough journey, and I would say I am unfortunate enough that I am going through it at a lot younger age. And so there is meditation. I focus a lot on meditation, walking, this and that. So yeah, it's again a different kind of a journey that I am on. I'll reach somewhere. And definitely
it's an individual journey, isn't it? It's a lonely journey. Like nobody can understand that. Only you or only that person can understand what the journey is like. And you just can't say, I know what you were going through. And in fact, we don't know what you're going. You can only imagine to a certain extent. And
Very
that,
close, very closely. If you have a sibling, you share the same loss with your sibling.
yeah,
So he or she can little bit, you
yeah,
are there together in
yeah,
this. So,
yeah. Okay.
but
So
then,
now,
yeah,
yeah. So let me ask you a different perspective of this. So, of course, you've gone through this and all that. When a person leaves, or I would say when a person, let us say when a person leaves this world, let me put it that way. What is it that leaves the body? What is that? What is your understanding? What is that you call when a person dies, you say the person is gone as if the person is actually the soul, right? And the body remains. You don't call that person anymore. You just say
yeah,
my father passed away, or my
yeah.
mother, or my friend, or what have you. So what is it that passed away?
Prana.
What is that?
Prana, see, there are 5 different types of prana. One is the breath. That's the first thing which leaves the body. So as doctors, you check the breath. The breath left the body means it's a sure sign that the person is not there. So there is this. First is the breath. Then is samana vayu, the vayu, prana vayu. In Hindu, we believe that we call it pran vayu.
Pranopana Vyanodana Samana. Prana,
Yeah,
Upana, Vyana, Udana, Samana. So these are
samana.
the Pancha Pranas, right?
Yeah,
So,
pancha prana. So first is breath, the prana vayu. Then is samana, which is the gut, the heat that is generated in the gut, and it aids in digestion, and it keeps our body warm. So once that vayu leaves, the body starts becoming cold. Then is urana. Urana is responsible for buoyancy. So you will notice that a dead person weighs more, though it is the same weight. So that's because the urana vayu leaves the body and it appears to be heavy, which is not the case actually. Then it's Vyana, which is the preservative energy that
that
factor is
maintains.
maintains. It's a preservation of all the vayus of
Quite a
the
lot of
body.
them. Oh, I see.
So what happens is, talking about this one, see, you must have read, I've read an interesting autobiography of Yogi, Yogananda ji. So after he left his breath for 21 days, he was in Mahasamadhi. His body was there intact, sitting like he's alive, but he was not there. That the concept of Mahasamadhi is, many spiritual saints, they go into Mahasamadhi. Ramakrishna was one of them.
Yeah.
So what happens in Mahasamadhi? They don't breathe, but it is that what is samana, and which vayu I said for the preservation of energy.
Udana.
Purana,
Udana.
Vyana. Yeah. So that vayu remains inside the present, and hence their body does not, they don't become corpse. Okay, the body is preserved. The heat is preserved. The body, the preservation energy of the body is.
So you, with that kind of yogic or meditative training,
yes,
you can actually control these independently or together.
Yes,
or you can,
yeah, and the samadhi, like you have to reach that level. Of course, it's not that easy, and it's not that common. So it is that preservation thing which is there in Mahasamadhi. These people. That's why once that leaves, then the body starts, its rigor mortis settles in, and the body, the gut starts, what do I say?
Decomposing.
Yeah, decomposing.
Yeah.
So, but when I say that a person dies, it is all these 5 vayus will leave the body. And there are different times from the last breath till 41 days. So it doesn't go all at once. That's why we say once after the last breath, you wait for 4 hours, I think. So because after 4 hours, rigor mortis settles in. as per science. So within this 4 hour, these one by one, all these vayus, they leave. So Urana leaves, then it becomes heavy, then Samana leaves, then it becomes cold, and
So it is like all these are different. This is my understanding. The way I understood is these are different forms of energy functioning in different ways, right?
yes,
Like you have Panchabhutas, this
absolutely,
energy in different
yes,
manifestations with
yeah,
the
inside your
specific
body,
function, right? So
inside your
these are
body.
all Pancha Vayus, Pancha Pranas, Pranopana, Vyanodana, Samana. So these five, or they are actually making us alive. When you say the person is alive, it is
These
the
vayus, this
dance of
prana,
all these
yes,
vayus,
yeah,
the pranas that is making that person alive.
yeah,
And when one of these pranas are imbalanced, you can see certain afflictions or diseases and things like that. And that
yes,
is why pranayama becomes important
yes,
while you are
yes.
alive.
You're
And that
controlling your prana. You're controlling
uh,
the outflow and inflow of breath inside your body, and you're controlling the energy. So it's
yeah,
all about energy. You see it
yeah,
at a certain level. So
yeah, yeah. So when you are with the person, it's hard to, I'm guessing it's hard to describe what's going on, but you feel a sense of connection. You feel like they're going
yes,
through a journey and you are there, and at a much higher dimension or a higher spiritual level, you feel a sense of connect with them. Although at a mundane level, at a flesh level, you feel that, well, my friend is leaving, my parent is leaving, and things like that. But then at a deep spiritual level, that is
they
not.
are not leaving actually. So if you
What?
are
Tell me about
spiritual enough, they are not leaving. They are there with you.
it.
Uh, uh, Maybe you cannot see them, but you can feel them if you are perceptive enough.
Or they
So
are
this is,
leaving the body.
they're leaving the body. Yes, they're
Yeah.
leaving, like this journey, it's their journey, and this cycle of their journey is over. It's, I feel like we are all individuals. You see, we are like, we make family and all that is definitely there. And but beyond a certain point, it is your journey, it is my journey. We are crossing path, we are helping each other, we are conversing, maybe we have a relationship. But then after a certain point, when I proceed with my own journey, you are with your own journey. So it is your journey. It won't be a good thing to hold you back, or for anybody. So it is, they have done their karma, and it's their time to go. So you have to accept it, you have to say bye, you have to do things. Definitely do things in your own way. You have to do the rituals. There are certain rituals to follow. So that,
Yeah.
because that's your journey, that's part of your journey too.
Yeah.
But then you cannot hold anybody forever.
Yeah.
Then the thought. So
I
that's
think this, yeah, I think this spiritual understanding is, at least these days, is extremely important, because I see a lot of patients, because they're so attached to their parents or grandparents, especially. They don't want to leave them, in their. I can understand if they're younger, if
yeah,
they're like in their 50s or even 60s is considered younger these days. In their younger part of their life, where they have not gone through their life, and if you feel like they're leaving too early, then it is understandable that you want to do something to stop that process from happening, the dying
you
process.
cannot, unfortunately, as an outside force, you can only tell them, you can teach them, you can preach them, but understanding is something which has to happen from inside.
Yeah.
Like, it is, you can tell me certain things, but it is up to me whether I understand it or I inculcate it or not. So yeah, this is where nobody can help anybody. It's all individual.
So
In
what?
this, the thought that okay, one day I will go, but before I go, I should leave something behind, so that my future generations, they should know who I am, what was I thinking. In that pursuit, I started writing, and I write stories, and I like, even if I blend with the dust, one day my stories will be there. So maybe 100 years from now, a person who would read my work, will know, will have a glimpse of my thought, the world that I create through my stories. That is one of my thoughts. And you have to do good karma. You have to, help people and be
So this
supportive.
idea, so this idea of transmigration of the soul, right? So we just talked about the pancha pranas. So they, from our body, they become part of nature. Is that's my understanding. So they become part of nature. It's like it never disintegrates, but it's just from this part it becomes akasha.
Another dimension. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you
another
put
dimension.
yeah, English word is dimension. There is a book, a Bengali book that I read. I forgot the name. They say that we go to Brahmolok, if that means anything. So that's a different lok.
So, and then the transmigration of the soul. You quoted Bhagavad Gita, Vasamsi Jirnani, Yatha Vihaya, Avani Krishnati, Naroparani, Yatha Sirirani, Vihaya. So it goes on. So just like a person leaves the clothes and takes another clothes, so just like that, the soul leaves the body and takes another body or another being or what have you.
Yes.
So tell me, what is your understanding on that transmigration of the soul, or metempsychosis is another word for that?
Okay, it's you leave this body, you rest for some time, because they say that the soul becomes tired after so much of work in this world. It's a theory again, so there is no proof. So that's why we say rest in peace. Because the soul
rest in peace. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. So this is very interesting. So I know, may your soul rest in peace, right?
Yes.
RIP,
yes.
RIP. May your soul rest in peace. So I see that a lot, especially with English and WhatsApp and people messaging, may your soul rest in. So I always wondered, the soul is always resting in peace. So why do you, or the soul has left? There is nothing that affects
they say
the soul.
Hindu philosophy, they believe that the soul gets tired after so much of work in this world. So once you leave the body, your bodily pain goes. You don't have a body, you don't have a family to take care, you don't have to feed yourself, so everything is taken care of. So you have that energy, and the soul gets, that energy gets tired, and you sleep for some time, you rest. That is why rest in peace has come.
Or is it another way of saying, don't go to another body, just rest there?
No, that is not for us to decide. That is the soul's journey again. So yeah, you rest in peace, and then you, like Buddhism says, as per Buddhist belief, that immediately after death, you pass through a tunnel. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. The light pulls you, and you meet all the people who have died before. It's a beautiful theory. I don't know, but then near-death experiences have verified this. I've read works of Dr. Raymond Moody, another doctor in Virginia who does research on all this. So he has researched many people who has been through near-death experience, and they have said more or less the same thing, that you pass through a tunnel, you meet God, a being of light. Some say God, some say your higher self. Yeah. It's very soothing. I have quoted that Fakratunda Mahakarya Surya Koti Samaprabha.
I read that.
It's like 1,000 suns together, but it doesn't hurt the eye. That kind of a light meets you, and your this part, I feel it's scary, it helped. It changed me actually after I read it, that your whole life is in front of your eyes. It's like a cinema you see of your own life, and people, things you have done, the major incidents. If you have hurt somebody, you feel that hurt within yourself 7 times multiplied. If you have been good to somebody, if you have been kind to somebody, if you have loved somebody very selflessly, you feel all those feelings again 7 times multiplied. That's the Tibetan Buddhism, they say. So after I read that, I started actually, thinking, if I have hurt somebody and then 7 times multiplied throughout my life, so it amounts to a huge thing. And
but then you might even, but then all the good things you have also done 7 times that.
Yes,
so,
yes.
So
It balances somehow.
It balances whether it's 7 times or 1 time, because it's the same.
Yes,
both multiplied.
Also thought, not only action. Also thought.
Yeah.
If you think a good thought, so it's a good karma. If you think bad thoughts, so it's a negative karma. So that's how it balances. And in the end, you get in Christianity, they say the judgment day. So we don't have a judgment day, but then they give you maybe some. So you go to Swargalok is there, they say, but then nobody has come back from Swargalok telling that yes, I have been there. But in some of the research works of Dr. Moody, I have read some people who went till that spot and then came back. So they have seen cities of light, and they have one lady went there, and she describes all the experiences. She was said that you have done a lot of good work, so you will stay here. So it's like she turned and she saw many light. It's like a city dazzling little light. But then
that's the near-death experience.
Yes. And then she looked this side and she saw her children cry, and she felt that she should come back to her children. That's where Maya comes in. She says that I want to go back to my children. Look how they're crying. So she opens her eyes.
Right.
It's a very interesting, if you say theory, definitely there must be some truth somewhere. Everything cannot be fiction. So
these are theories, but what I feel is they are not objectively verifiable, but subjectively you can sometimes feel them or verify. Either it is because you are told that there is a Swargaloka and all that, and then you experience it. And so on. It's hard to prove or disprove those. So they see in science there are certain hypotheses that cannot be proven or disproven. So you just leave them the way they are, and if you believe in them, good. If you don't believe in them, good also. It depends on.
It depends. So once you finish, then depending upon your karma points and all, you live a good life. You rest in peace, you sleep, you are in Swargalok, and then once your karma is finished, you come back on the earth again, or you are reborn wherever it is. And definitely there is reincarnation. I have read a series of books by Dr. Brian Weiss. He is specialized. He hypnotizes people and digs. He's in Florida. I would love to meet him someday. So he hypnotizes people, and then people start narrating their past, like thousands and thousands of years ago. So I would it's a definitely a very intriguing point. I would want to know where I have come from, where I would go. It's a journey. So there is definitely some truth somewhere. Everything cannot be man-made.
Right. Yeah, it's very interesting. So you mentioned about the good deeds, good actions, good words. That's why in our marriages we have this in Sanskrit they say manasa vacha karmana nati charami, means by manasa, by mind, manasa vacha, walk, by word, karmana, by action, na ati charami, I will not go beyond our relationship. These three. So in that is the marriage, that is the main thing there, where the bride and bridegroom are telling each other, either by in my mind, my manas, or by walk or by actions, we will stay together. So we give importance to all the three aspects, and each one has points according to the karmic points. And then you accumulate. So this is the theory, and of course these are all theories. So if you look at Advaita Vedanta, it is all Maya. So as long as you are in this phenomenal world, it is all real. But if you look at a paramarthika level, which is the ultimate reality, so this is all like a dream, so
Yeah.
there is no reality to this. It is only a transactional reality. In other words,
Yeah.
your mind and my mind are interacting as if in a simulation. So there is no, when you look at from an outsider, from like a beyond the time space continuum, it is all like an illusion, like Maya. What is your, how do
Yes.
you, so I looks like you have studied that, or you have understood that also. You keep saying Maya from time to time. So you talk about these lokas, Swarga loka, karmic points, transmigration of life, and so on and so forth. But then again, there is this Maya Vada or Maya, which says that no, this is all an illusion. And yes, it appears true from this level. When you are down here, it appears like the sun is raised. When you're standing on Earth, it appears like there is sunset and sunrise. But when you go out 100 miles or 500 or 1 million miles in space, there is no sunrise or sunset. It is just an illusion of your position in time and space. It appears like there is a sunrise, sunset, but when you go out there, it is all an illusion. So from that level, tell me, what is that transmigrates? Is there anything like that, or is it from this spirit to that spirit? It appears like that, but when you look at from an entirely different dimension that is out of time and space, that is the Brahman or Paramarthika state. What is it that is real?
Real, what appears real is unreal. That what is unreal,
Yeah.
it appears real. That's
So
the
you
thing.
did you
So
did
what
did
I
you yeah. Yeah.
what I feel that there is not much difference between you and me and everybody else. We go, all of us have that one thing common, though we don't acknowledge it. That the spirit, your spirit, my spirit, it's energy, and it is same. So once I leave my body, and if I leave this body and go into another dimension, and I mix with the nature, so then there is no difference between you and me and 1 million people already
Yeah.
there. Not people, the spirits of 1 million people. So
Yeah.
that is what I feel about the reality. This is real, though we don't accept it because we don't see it. And talking about Maya, I'll give you an example, like this table or this pencil. It's hard, right? It's, we can touch, feel it, see it. So it's made out of molecules, ions, atoms, protons, electrons, protons, and neutrons. So if you break this pencil into that atomic level, what do we see? The atomic structure. There is a central nucleus, and there is a proton, and there is an electron revolving in an orbit. Okay, it is space inside. Majority of it, if you take the proton and neutron, electron and proton out, it is space. But when we see this pencil, do we realize that it is space? We don't. It is very hard. It will hit. If I hit it, it'll hurt me here. So Maya is something like that. Sansar, that this whole world, it's something like that. So it is very condensed. Hence we see it. This my house, that is your car. Oh, you have a BMW. I have a small car. So it's. But then when you break it, you get into the atomic level. It is all space. It's empty.
Yeah.
Nothing is there much. So that's why I don't get too attached to materialistic world, reminding myself that it is space in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah,
ultimately, ultimately it is. So from what you just said, I'm going to kind of summarize that. So it's, at one level, it's all one energy taking different forms and shapes and playing certain role, like Sudipta and Rajeev and XYZ and so on. Yes. And ultimately, it is like electricity giving us light, fan,
your TV, television, everything.
Elevator, everything. It's just same electricity. Ultimately, if you shut down the electricity, everything
is stopped.
Stops. So it is one energy just taking different forms at one level. Second is even those forms are 99.999% empty.
Yes.
So it is just that tiny fraction that is just making all this dance of drama that's going on, and then we have these egos that we come up we come forth with, and then start fighting with another ego, and then ultimately when the person passes, I don't know if people even recognize it at the end, towards the end of their life. This futile fighting and the exercise and this ego drama dance that goes on, is it even worth it? So why do people? Is it because of the Maya that covers them that they don't recognize?
Some people don't realize this until a lot later.
I mean, a lot of people. I mean, look at all the bombings going on, all the people killing each other, and in the name of not just in the name of religion,
everything.
In the name of many things, but somebody didn't listen to me, so I'm gonna kill you or hurt you or what have you.
So I find it funny. I really find it funny. When I find people with ego, too much of ego. Who am I? What am I? I mean, if you ask yourself one morning, what am I? So I like being a spiritual person, since I think about all this.
I don't hear this a lot from others, because they're so engulfed by their ego, or they don't question it. Is it because of lack of questioning? Is it because of that is how
lack of understanding? Lack of understanding, I would say. They have never paused and thought about it, that what am I striving for? What is my purpose of being here in this time? So there must be a certain
is there a purpose at all, if everything is just
we have a greater purpose. So in order to fulfill, let us focus
what
on
is that greater purpose? What is the great? So see, I go through this journey and I pass. My body disintegrates, becomes part of nature. Panchabhutas create. I'm a combination of Panchabhutas, and I become that. And my Pancha Pranas just get dissipated and gets dissolved into the nature itself. And then there is something, that spirit, that takes its journey. So what is the purpose? Is purpose something that our human mind created so that there is a sense of security? Otherwise, if you say your life is purposeless, it feels so nihilistic. It's very negative. It connotes to me. It doesn't, but because I don't need to have a purpose to live. But then when I say that sentence, see how negative it is. So this guy is so negative, right?
No, it appears.
It appears negative, right? So to cover that up, does mind create a purpose to life and say, hey, my purpose in life is to help others, or my purpose in life is to do this or that?
Yes. So there are two things for talking about purpose. One is a bigger picture, the greater purpose that I feel, which is true for all of us, and that is evolution of the soul. That every day we have to evolve. It's a journey, and we have to go on evolving one day so that we reach somewhere. And the second purpose, it's of this life, is that that is individual. You have to decide why you wake up in the morning and why are you working so hard. So that may not be too common with me. I may be waking up every morning with a different set of purpose in my mind, why I am here in this particular place. So there must be again a smaller domain amongst in the bigger one. So there are two for all of us. So how we channelize this, how we guide our, how we live, basically our individual life is a reflection of what you think you are here to do. And
so when you talk about the individual self, the purpose in life is to live, right? So not to die. So that from at least from an organism standpoint, so see, from a biological or evolutionary standpoint, now, I'm talking not about spiritual evolution, but a biological evolution standpoint. The goal of an organism is to live up to a point where it can leave a progeny, right? Leave a son or a daughter or whatever. And make sure that son also lives up until their reproductive years and have their offspring. so that this offspring to my third generation, I have seen my offspring. So that goes on. So is that the purpose of that human
For
purpose?
some, for some, definitely. Some people, that's the reason why we marry, we procreate. We're keeping that in mind, that I want to continue my gene. So for some, but then once you evolve uh, in a certain level of evolution, if you reach beyond a certain point, you feel that your gene, living, not living, it doesn't make sense. But like, it doesn't matter to you. That's the reason why, there are so many sages who have given up domesticity and who have joined, become monk, and they are preaching and doing things, enlightening people, giving knowledge, imparting knowledge to the masses. So their purpose is different. They are not living to create progeny. So as a family man, we definitely think, when we were young, our parents said, study hard, you have to become an engineer or a doctor, then marry. And after you get married, your parents will say you have children. So that is what they thought.
That is the biological,
the
biological
continuity
that you want to have.
The biological continuity, that it is perfectly okay if you are happy procreating a child, and if you are happy with it, I don't have anything to say. I am like, for myself, I'm not happy only procreating. I want to leave some things other than my child,
and that still is leaving a legacy, right? So you are leaving a certain different type of legacy.
A legacy.
One legacy is your biological offspring legacy.
Yes,
the other legacy is, I want to build a monument, or I want to write a book that will last for 100 years or 1,000 years. So
you leave your thoughts. You're doing a research.
You're doing also leaving research. A legacy. That is also part of this whole idea of leaving the whole legacy, either biological or continuity.
It doesn't matter, but you're leaving something behind for future generations to refer to, for enlightenment, for their enlightenment. They will see this, they'll understand you. In the process, they will understand life. So it is different. Individual life is different. So your life and my life, it's different. So your purpose may not be my purpose. But then spiritually, all of our purpose, I feel, is evolution, evolving spiritually to go beyond the body. So for that, there is a different journey, meditation, this, that. So
this is meditation. To me, this is meditation. This kind of questioning, going inward, asking all these questions layer by layer, getting answers, not because somebody said it, but because you have to know it by yourself. It's not like somebody told me the answer, so I'm telling it. These are called stock answers. So it doesn't work that way. So and this is meditation.
The answer will be different for every individual. So your answer, it's like, it's an exam where each has to write his or her own answer, and
there is no one answer. There is no one right answer. But then ultimately, it all has to coalesce around a certain truth that, we're different forms of energy. We are taking our journey, and at some point, we leave our mortal remains here, and then carry on. So that, I think this level of spirituality, I see that in some of my patients where they are spiritually highly evolved, and they are at peace with themselves at the time of their end of their life. Where some of them believe in going to their certain deity or prophet or Jesus or what have you, or some of them believe in going to a certain loka, whatever they believe in, but they are clear about it. I had a patient who was dying, and she said, no, nothing to worry about. I know exactly where I'm going. And that is a better place. Yeah, that place is better than this. So I don't have to worry about it. So all I need to make sure is I'm not in pain. In this journey towards my end, as long as I'm not in pain, I'm happy. So make sure, or do something if you can, to help me so that I'm not in pain. And because I know these are her words, I know exactly where I'm going. And that's 1,000 times better than this place. So, no,
So it seems she must have experienced some certain thing, and that's a perfect thing to say. I mean,
yeah, whatever that belief is, but as long as it gives you that conviction, that strength of conviction
confidence.
that you are not that I feel that holding on to this body, this I just don't want to leave this. That is the cause of all the anxiety and
Yes, we
and
try to stick to very
yeah,
painfully.
yeah,
We try to,
we try to hold on to it so
yeah,
painfully, and when you just let it go, nature take its course. I mean,
yeah,
I'm talking about people who are elder, because when they're younger, it's hard to do all
let
these things
go.
because you let
Yeah,
go, or because your body is still in its youth and energy and everything, so it's hard to let go of it. But as you start seeing the body breaking apart,
it is sad.
prostate is
Yeah,
not working, your
yeah, one after the other.
organs are sagging, and you
Yeah,
just are losing
yeah,
sight, you can't hear well, you get that feeling that it's time to leave
go.
this decrepit
Yeah,
body and
yes.
just go on. So
Yeah,
very
it is.
interesting.
It
Yeah,
is sad. It is sad to see even people like I've seen it in both my parents, but they at the end they were ready to go. That's what I
yeah.
have felt. They were not. They were not wanting to leave as well because they were feeling that one by one all the body parts are giving up. So it
Mm,
is time that you
yeah.
prepare your mind that I, from a very young age, I would say, since I've read about all these through my experiences, I like try to remind myself that, I remain prepared. As in, if I feel like doing something, I do it right away. If I
Mm,
feel like traveling, I go right away. I try to do it. I don't try keep pending. I'll do it after 10 years because I know after 10 years I may not be there. So
yeah,
I have that awareness inside me that this
yeah.
moment I'm talking to you, the next moment I may not be. So if I have to tell something, something which I
You better
feel,
say it. Yeah,
yeah, I'll say it to you
you
right away.
better.
Like you
Yeah.
are doing an incredible job. I mean, apart from what do I say, dealing with people, dying people day in and day out. I know it is your profession. You are trained and but still, it affects your psychology.
Yeah, it changes you. Yeah, it changes.
Yeah,
Every time I go through this experience, it
yes,
pauses me from what I'm doing. I
yeah.
question what is it that leaves, things like this.
It isn't easy.
And
It
yeah,
isn't easy.
it
I
is
know.
never easy.
It is never easy, but you are doing an incredible job. And apart from that, you are doing this, interviewing people, talking, which I would say, this is adding a lot of meaning to your
Yeah,
life,
thank you.
my
Yeah,
life,
appreciate it.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
So it is. So this is once you are aware of the bigger picture, you become like this. You
Yeah.
tend to
Take it
observe.
easy. You tend to
Take it
take
easy.
things. Say, yeah, you are sincere in what you're doing, but then you are not very serious about it. Like what Alan Watt says, you are sincere but not too serious about things. You take it easy.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
enjoy the experience. You enjoy
Enjoy.
the journey. It's like taking a
Yes.
train journey. When it's time, you just leave the train and let the train pass. With the rest of the crew or the
Yes.
passengers.
Yes,
So
yes. So
yeah, so
it's about like how evolved you are, how what is your level of growth. That's what I say. So that's again a bigger purpose of all our lives, that we
yeah,
have to grow.
wonderful. Yeah.
So
Wonderful. Sudipta, thank you so much for this exciting conversation. So, not too often I get to talk to somebody like you on this podcast, because we talk
thank
about
you.
artificial intelligence, we talk about health, we talk about medicine and things like that. I also talk about, the next month I'm going to talk about consciousness. And then we talked
Oh,
about
it's my
linguistics.
favorite topic,
Yeah.
consciousness. I would love
Yeah.
to join.
Yeah, maybe we can have another conversation on that. So what is all this consciousness, supreme intelligence, this and that. And then I had another conversation on linguistics. So this is very exciting. This is one of the conversations I love to do, about, because it is not about dying, it is about life's journey. It
Yes, it's
starts and
about
it ends.
living. It's about
It's
living,
about
right?
living. Yeah, yeah, like you
Yeah,
write in your book. So
yeah.
thank you,
It is.
Sudipta, for this wonderful conversation. I look forward to having another conversation in future like this.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Thank
yeah,
you
so
so much for. I'll show the book. So this is the book, The Wind in Our Sails.
the wind in our sails. Yes,
That's a
I
book
will leave
name.
links to where people can purchase that in the
Yes.
description when the
Yeah,
video goes live.
yeah, definitely. And my story is turning towards light. So we are all aiming towards that
Towards light.
bigger light. Yeah, and it was lovely talking to you, Dr. Rajeev. And I would love to one day come and meet you in person and meet your patients and talk to them, see them, interact with them.
Yeah,
in
we'll
way.
make that happen. Yeah.
Yes.
Look forward to more of your books, writings, and talks, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Thank you so much.